So welcome everybody, and I'm so grateful that you're all here today online. I was looking at the Zoom room, and I know there are people on YouTube and Facebook as well, and it's one of the examples of our abundance. So here we have an in-person experience, a real tangible and tactile experience here in the room, and then there's an intermediate step of the Zoom room where we can interface with them here. And then there's people watching us who we may never touch physically or see in person, but that are part of our community. We have members, I just saw in the Zoom room, that live across the country, that are members of this community. And the amazing abundance that we live in, even in the midst of a global pandemic, and as Deanne referenced in the beginning, the strife and the pain, the real hardship all around the world, and at the same moment, we are constantly blessed. And there are moments where I can't wrap my head around it all, and there's moments where I am just in the flow of abundance. And so that's why this whole series I've done, Abundance Lessons from Life, they're not from a book, they're not from a guru, they're not from a teacher, they're not from me, they're from our shared experience. They're from our being able to be with each other and to touch each other and to love wastefully, fully, indiscriminately. Because even my 6-year-old came home from preschool when she was 4 singing a song called "Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something when you give it away, you end up getting," right? And it's a song, and it's trite, and it was adorable on Roma. And it's also so true, absolutely so true. It is the love you are has no end, no limit. And you can keep giving and giving and giving, and you will never deplete it. So it may feel like it's wasted on people, on situations where you don't sense a reciprocation, but it's not wasted. The universe keeps a perfect set of books. Every act of love you give out comes back to you. It may be not from that SOB, but it's coming back to you. Right? You know, don't waste your time trying to warm up people who want to be cold. Let them freeze, right? But you can still love them. You can still love. They shouldn't get to determine your temperature. They shouldn't get to determine your way of being. When you do that, when I do that, when we all do that, we turn over all of our power to this thing outside of ourselves. And we know, we teach, we study here that there is nothing outside that doesn't exist inside. Everything we experience is a reflection of that. This is why I love this picture we're starting with. You can show it to the online audience. It's like this amazing example of childhood sharing of the ice cream cone. And if you've been around babies, you know, and as you're around babies, watch how the instinct to share and to give comes up so early that when you feed them, they want to feed you back too. That they want to share hugs and give hugs and get hugs. It is part of our DNA as a species. While we are spiritual beings, we are having this human experience. And the idea of giving and receiving starts very, very, very early. A child without receiving hugs and giving hugs will wither. And we have the chance every moment to love our inner child. We're doing an audible here in my slide deck, which is coming up. So I'm just going to let the AV team know. I'm going to circle back to the next slide. Oh, you already did it for me. They're so good. Sorry, I was jumping ahead and I didn't need to. Yesterday, I had an event at my house for the Unity San Francisco board. It was wonderful. It was the first time we've met in person since COVID, right? We've seen each other here, but we haven't had a board meeting in person since then, and since February of 2020. So it was long overdue, and it was beautiful. One of the members brought a flower bouquet to my house for me. Two, actually. She brought a plant and a flower bouquet. And giving flowers is one of the symbols of our generosity, right? And the flowers are behind me right now on the piano. They're an amazing gift of love, of generosity. And I got to bring them in today, too, to share them with everyone. And it's about giving beauty. It's about giving joy. When people give you flowers, doesn't it make you smile? It's a giving of extravagance. There's so many different ways we can give and get into the flow of that. It made me feel better. I had to bring them to you as well, those bright and shiny flowers. So I'm going to take them home after this. But for this next couple of hours, they're all of ours. And they're saved on this. Think about the times in your life that you've commemorated with flowers. I also sent this week a large bouquet for someone who had lost their father, right? And those other moments are also commemorations of love and the abundance of the life that was lived. So that's another way we give. Downstairs, you may have been in our hospitality room downstairs. You notice there's often an abundance of food down there. Today it's brought by our prayer chaplains, and it's one of the other ways that we show love and caring. And this image of the birds singing reminded me, I shared at the beginning of this series, a similar picture of birds asking for food from their parents, right? And we do that expression of giving. We give food as an act of generosity. We give food as an act of love, of family, of community. We share of our abundance. There is more than enough food in the world to feed everyone in the world. The problem is distribution, right? The problem is logistics, but there's more than enough food. I remember when I was a kid, they were talking about us running out of food, that there wouldn't be enough food to feed all the people on the planet. And that idea seems to have gone away because science and innovation and creativity and what I would call the universal good or God is constantly showering good upon us. And that there will never be lack, except in our mind when we think there's not enough. Not enough love, not enough time, not enough people, not enough to get things done. I've told this story before, but one of my good friends in New York said, well, there's just no soulmate out there for me. There's just no one. And I was like, wow, 7 billion people on the planet, and not one of them is here for you. That is grandiosity in a wild way, right? It's like, and an affirmation, right? A crazy affirmation. There's no one out there for me. Amen. Right? How does that work? But we believe it so fervently, and we hold on to it. And I know that it's not just my friend Brian who does that. I know there might be some of us who do the exact same thing, that we hold on to some beliefs, some things so fervently, and we don't let go of them. There's not enough. There's not enough. And I started this whole series about talking about my new house. I didn't think we could get a new house. I didn't think we could afford it. I didn't think somehow that we deserved it. If I really look at the belief system, if I really open up and see that, I'm a minister. I'm not supposed to make great money. I'm not supposed to have all this. Well, I do, and I do deserve it. right? And the universe has more than one way of rewarding for giving. The good comes to us from many, many sources. When I went to ministerial school, my father called me and said, "Ken, there's no money in ministry." And I said, "Well, Dad, this may surprise you, but that's not why I'm going into it." And then when I bought this house in Marin, this new house, I sent in the listing, and he called me and said, "I was wrong. There's money in ministry." And what there is always more than enough money. So there's more than enough. There's more than enough to go around. But one of the things that we need most right now, that we're not getting, is giving of compassion, giving of comfort, giving of ourselves, our time. And I know we want to, but I don't know about you, but has this time been busier for you than anything previous to the pandemic? For me, it feels exponentially harder. The isolation is harder emotionally. The isolation is harder physically because of how we've had to work. Being creative about work has meant some more work in some ways. And taking the time to give presence and comfort to others is one of the most powerful ways we can give. So I don't want to shortchange that. Taking time to be with each other, to sit down and have a cup of coffee, to hold someone's hand, to give them a fist bump today, right? To be with them in this kind of way, whether it is online and you're watching at home, that you sit in and you settle down and you just be with us. If you're like me, you're also tired of multitasking. Watching my phone and my Zoom call and my kids and the list of things to do that sits on my desk. Time to ourselves, comfort, and the gift of presence to our own lives is one of the richest things you can do. Leisure time is a sign of abundance, right? Right? Leisure time is a sign of abundance. You're not constantly busy. So if I work harder, and I put in a 16-hour day, and I do this, and I'm multitasking 10 things, make my bank account full, but it doesn't necessarily make me abundant, right? Because that's not what we're here to be. We're not a dollar symbol. We're not a figure in our bank account. We are spiritual beings. And what I mean by spiritual, my favorite definition of spiritual, is that we are something larger than ourselves. The true nature of who we are is something that is bigger than us. Call it God, call it spirit, call it universe, call it collective human consciousness, call it anything you want. But it's about that there's something more going on than this physical human body. That I am an eternal being, at one with each and every one of you, across the world, across this room, across time and space. That's spiritual. That's spirituality. And when we can move in that realm, everything else flows, including giving of money. And this is where we all of us get caught up. It's the easiest thing to see that there's not enough of, or believe that there's not enough of, right? But in truth, that picture I'm showing right now, that $100 bill, is just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper that we all believe is worth $100. We just believe it because the government tells us that, and people stand by it. And we also believe that it's limited, that there's only a certain amount of them in the world, and that if it's lost, it can never be replaced. And I prove that in the Absolute Abundance course on a regular basis, that we believe it can't be replaced. But that's not true. True, capital T, true. Because what is money? Money is a form of energy that we exchange, and a barter, a system. It is a representation of value. And if it is energy, which I do believe it is, money is an energy we exchange, energy can never be destroyed. It can only change form. So if I lose $100, if I destroy $100, I wash it or burn it or drop it into the garbage by mistake, it is not lost to the world. It's just changing form in some way. And when I can tap, then I have true peace. I have the abundance of serenity, the abundance of knowing that my needs will be met. Now, that's all theoretical. That's all great talk, Ken, but how does that apply when you have bills to pay? Right? How does that apply when the figures in the bank account don't look like they can make ends meet? Right? Well, the figures lie, but second, we also bless whatever we have so that the moment isn't limited because the moment is always moving. That's what's there right now. That's what you can see right now. But in an instant, everything can change. Everything can grow. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to ask my ushers to get up right now and share with you something. We do a tradition here every year, and we never tell you when it's going to happen. But we do something where we pass out a little envelope to everyone in the community. So right now, the ushers are going to come around. Deanne, can you help them too? Let's get one more going there. And I would like everybody to take one of these envelopes, please. Right? All right, guys, give them out. Go on, don't wait. They're waiting for them. I'm talking about them. I want them. Everybody takes one. Yeah. If you are home and you're watching us online, right now in the chat, whether it's in the Zoom room or on Facebook or on YouTube, put your PayPal address or put your mailing address in Zoom, on PayPal, and take one of these envelopes. And then everybody just open it up. In it, you will find a $20 bill. Oh, the band needs some too, and the staff, don't forget the band, guys. They're sitting there going, huh? And you guys at home, I'm telling you, it smells like money. It is money, but you're going to get yours. And so, just to be clear too, for everyone, and there's some people downstairs, we'll make sure they get theirs. For everyone watching online, if you're watching this after 12 o'clock when our service ends, I'm sorry, there are benefits to watching in real time. We will be closing the chat at 12 noon. Next time, come in person or come during the regular time if you can. And we do this annually. So this is yours to take home. But my challenge to you is to give it. How will you give it? Don't just put it into your regular pile. If you're going to take it, bill with it, or pay a debt with it, you're giving thanks with this money for good already received. When we pay the light bill here, we're giving thanks that we had these lights because we pay it after we use the electricity, right? After we live stream it. We're paying those bills in gratitude for what's coming. In this moment, we give thanks for there's no limit to this money. I know that's hard to understand, but I want you to think about it this way. Not right now? I'm teasing them. That was so crystal clear. The sound in here is really good. They think we can't hear them when they talk to each other back there. So I want you to understand this. Every one of you, I know this, every one of you has been through the mill and back. Some just this past week. Some over the last year or years. Some have lost people that it was crushing. Some have experienced diagnoses and job losses that seemed insurmountable at the time. And you're here. Not only are you here, you're thriving. You're surviving. I'm going to invite Marcus to platform right now and understand that in a moment, everything you've been through changes when you apply our teachings and the consciousness to knowing that there's no holding you back and there is no limit to this thing we call money. Because time can multiply all possibilities.